Finding the right tenant can make or break your rental property business. As a first-time landlord, this was the part I was most nervous about. I don't want to spend months chasing late rent, having to evict someone, or dealing with property damage. I want a tenant who's reliable, who's respectful, who pays on time. And in this video, I'm sharing exactly how I'm approaching tenant screening for my first rental, step by step, how you do it, and how I'm using Baselane to make the process so much faster, easier, and free for myself as the landlord. So let's talk about what tenant screening is and why it's so important, because tenant screening is the process of evaluating potential tenants to your rental property based on their application, using their credit history, their criminal background if they have one or if they don't, income verification, and their eviction history. It's basically looking at all the things that could make them a good or bad tenant and deciding what's important to you to rent your property to them. Tenant screening is so important. I heard time and time again it was the most important part of the process because it helps you select the right tenants, and that reduces the risk of late payments, it reduces the risk of property damage and evictions later on as well. So let's talk about the tool I'm using for tenant screening, because I am using Baselane to do all of my tenant screening, and here's why I'm using them. Basically, I'm already using Baselane for several other property management tasks that streamline the process and make it super easy. And they also offer tenant screening, so I decided to use this instead of a separate service for a couple reasons. Number one, that it's free for landlords. The applicant pays the screening fees directly, so I get the full report at no cost to me, and every application that comes in is paid by the person who is applying. I also like that it had fast results because reports were delivered in less than 5 minutes. It was so fast, and that gives me the option to make quick, informed decisions, and I've had to actually say no to a couple people because of what came back in the tenant screening. It also gives me the option for comprehensive reports because everything is in one place. It has the rental application there, it has their credit report, it has the criminal background check, has the eviction history, it has all of the things that I want to check, including the income verification, and this makes it super easy to decide whether or not a tenant is right for the property. It also has fraud protection built in because Baselane uses advanced ID verification to confirm applicants are who they say they are, which is something I was a little worried about. You can also decide how much information you actually want out of that list, because with Baselane, they have both a basic reporting option and an advanced reporting option, so you have the choice to go with either one. So there's multiple levels for tenant screening. You can run that basic reporting that includes the rental application, and that is all self-reported. So it's a self-reported housing history. It includes dependents, pets, vehicles, smoking, and more. That includes the identity verification, and that is the photo ID. And then it also includes the Equifax credit report. So that includes payment history and the balances across their credit reports, and that is $24.99. Or you also have the option with Baselane to run more advanced reporting that adds additional reports to the basic one, so you get more information, and that will include the income verification, that's pay stub and bank transaction data, and that is $10. You can also get the eviction reporting, that is the eviction history from the largest database of US housing court records, and that's updated daily, so that is an additional $10. And then there's also the criminal reporting that checks the national and local databases of over 1.8 billion criminal records, and that is an additional $5. Basically, you can get as much information as you need to feel comfortable to make the right decision on who your tenant is. And that is why I personally liked Baselane, because I could decide how much I needed on each tenant and how much information I wanted to make the right choice when we are selecting a tenant. Let's talk about how the process works and step by step what you do. With Baselane, you first create a Baselane account, of course, if you don't already have one. And then inside of Baselane, you set up your rental property, and you can follow how to do this in my other video. I will link it down below. Then you will invite your applicants to apply to your property. You send that request directly from Baselane, which again is the reason why I like this. It's all together, all in one place, and you don't have to switch back and forth between apps. Next, the applicant submits their information and the payment for the reporting. So they fill out their rental application and pay the screening fee. Based on which reporting you've decided, that will determine their screening fee, and then they pay that directly, so you don't have to do that. Next, you get the report back in a couple minutes. Baselane verifies all of the details and delivers a consolidated report straight to my dashboard, so I have everything I need in one place. The report looks like this. It's very nice. It gives you all of the information you need, and this whole process keeps it so simple. It keeps me out of that awkward position of collecting sensitive personal information directly from the person and also asking for money to run these reports. It makes it a lot more streamlined and way easier. During this process, I've had to decide my criteria for choosing tenants. Even with a great report, I still apply my own criteria consistently to these applicants to decide who my tenant is going to be. For me, that means steady income, ideally 3 times the rent. Actually, that is the criteria. It needs to be 3 times the rent. Then a positive rental history with no recent evictions. Also, no major red flags in their credit or their criminal records. So they paid their things on time. They do not have a criminal record. So those are my main criteria. But then I also have been looking at clear and timely communication during the application process, just to make sure that they are someone that is on top of things and going to hopefully take care of the property as much as I can expect. So having all of that information in one report from Baselane and kind of giving my own judgment to it makes it really easy to compare applicants side by side and ultimately decide who is going to be the tenant in this property. Then once I choose a tenant, I can instantly set up the monthly rent collection inside of Baselane. I can do the security deposit in a separate sub account just to make sure that is safe and kept where it needs to be. Then I can set up automatic late fee rules in case they do pay late and we need to collect a late fee. Baselane will do that for me. I can do it all right inside of Baselane. No separate systems needed. So everything's kind of interconnected, which is why doing tenant screening through Baselane was so nice. The tenant screening is one of the most important steps in protecting your property and your income. So this is why I wanted to put so much time into the tenant screening process. And with Baselane, I can do that. I can do it quickly, get all the reports I need, and not pay a dime for the service as the landlord. If you are starting your own rental property journey, I will leave the link for Baselane down below so you can go sign up and start screening your tenants the easy way, the quick way. And if you are a landlord or a property manager, let me know in the comments, what is the number one thing you look for in a tenant? I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and this is just my experience as a first-time landlord who is going through the tenant screening process for the last couple months. I would love to know what you look for in a tenant, and definitely go check out this video on Baselane, how to set up your account, and it will be so helpful for you.